okay, if I show this side of me, people will not love me.
There was a lot of like sense of guilt around who I was.
To all the people all around the world. Ooh la 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 la.
Here we are, our first video on this YouTube channel. I'm so excited. I'm actually excited and a little bit anxious.
Yes.
A little bit anxious because I haven't been talking in English in a long time. Here we are. This is Inner Sono, our first video. Here we heal the shame around self-expression by having fun. So we play with shame, we have fun with shame by using the body, the voice, our creativity. Why we chose shame? Because we have a history with shame. I am Trini, this is my partner in crime, Sarah.
Hi, I'm Sarah.
And I'm so happy to do this project with this amazing woman. This idea that we came up together is amazing because we really feel it inside of us. You know, we have a big history of feeling ashamed around our self-expression, our creativity, our body, our voice. So now that we are on this healing journey of ours, we really want to share our own experience. And this is what we will do in this video. You know, we will share our own history, personal experience with shame, and also our, you know, healing journey that is not over, is never over, but we, you know, realize a lot of things about our past, our wounds. And here, yes, we like to play with shame because we also think that, you know, the healing journey, spirituality, you know, can be fun. It can be fun. It doesn't have to be, you know, so serious all the time. So we like to play with fun. We like to make it colorful, happy, and also reconnect with the inner child in this way, because, you know, healing shame has a lot to do with the inner child. And of course, we will talk about this in future videos. But, you know, the inner child is a big part of the journey because, you know, when we were kids, we were way more connected with the spiritual plane. Maybe more intuitively, we didn't know that, but we were in touch with special stuff, and then we lose it when we become adult. So yes, we want to talk about shame because shame is that big shadow that kind of dim our light, our self-expression, our freedom to express, to be who we are. You know, it keeps us small, it keeps us silent. Shame is what, you know, makes us hide from the world. And it's my history, it's the story of Sarah. So we want to talk about this. We want to talk about our life experience today to just introduce this project, Inner Sono, introduce this channel, because Inner Sono is an online project, but even more an, you know, in-person material project, because we do events, and we will do our first event in August in Berlin. So, you know, don't miss. So you can find the link and all the information below in the description. We will do a retreat all about shame, but today it's all about our own experiences. So Sarah, you want to start? You want to tell about your idea of shame also, you know, because I talked about my own idea of shame, but I'm sure you have a lot to say about shame and what it meant to you, how it influenced your life, your childhood, for example.
Yes. So I think it's a huge topic for me and for you. That's also why we decided to start this project. And I think shame was always present in my life. Now thinking back and being on this healing journey, when you think back of when you started feeling shame for the first time, I think I was really little, and I remember already being a kid, you know, like 3, 4, 5 years old, and already not feeling 100% comfortable in being, you know, myself. There was always this voice that now I recognize as the inner critic, but there was this voice inside of my head always censoring, you know, a bit what I wanted to do, what I wanted to say, telling me, you're not enough, what you want to say is not good, people will not like you. So I really have this memory since I was a kid of having this voice in my head. And then I got used to having that voice, you know, it became, you know, a life companion. And somehow it was always filtering, you know, my experience of reality. And my freedom to express myself. So I grew up by thinking basically that I was not enough and that I had to change who I was to please others. And I always had, since I was a kid, this people pleasing attitude. I always wanted to make everyone happy, always trying to put, other people's needs before my own. And I did it out of love. I realize now, like when I was 5, 6 years old, my parents got divorced. So of course it was a mechanism in me saying, okay, I want to make everyone happy, because I was seeing that everyone was suffering in my family. My parents were hurt, heartbroken. So I was, okay, I'm going to be the one making them happy. But when you're a kid and you take this burden on yourself, then of course there is no space to be who you are, because I was also sad, I was also upset, I was angry, but I never allowed myself to express this. And then starting from there, it built up and it started, like having consequences everywhere in my life. Whatever I wanted to do when I was a kid, I loved to sing, I loved to dance, I loved to do shows at school, and I really liked to just be myself. But then when you start listening to that voice in your head and starting to think, okay, if I show this side of me, people will not love me, then of course, it gets harder and harder while you grow up to actually reconnect with that part. And for years, like we will talk a lot about voice as well, because it's a very dear topic to both of us, Trinity and I. But yeah, I couldn't sing for a long time. I was always ashamed of my body, of all the creative expression and authentic expression of myself. And I kept hiding it until, a couple of years ago, but we will talk about this later. And I don't know, Trinity, do you feel the same? Do you also have this memory of the inner critic or this feeling of shame since you were a kid, or was it later on?
I relate a lot with what you said. There was one thing that really hit me. It was like the shame became like, like the normal, and I think it's a big thing for all of us. We just live with this burden, shame. We just live with it. We think it's then, we don't even know what it is to live without shame until we do, because it's just so, part of our society, the way we grow up, the way we are educated, everything is built around shame and guilt. And it's so that really hit me what you said, that became, just part of your, your life companion, this inner critic. Because yes, the inner critic is for sure the voice of shame, the voice of this shadow of emotion. And well, it's my life experience as well, because I feel like I was born inside a life experience that was all rooted in shame and guilt, because my first 12 years of life, I spent it in a cult. So it was a very, very religious upbringing. And like, that was my reality. But my rebellious side always was like, there's something wrong with this. This can't be the reality. There was like this wanting to escape this, but at the same time, that was what I received. I was receiving and being educated around that. So I have this shame rooted in guilt, because there was a lot of like sense of guilt around who I was. I couldn't be who I was. It was forbidden. I had to follow a lot of rules. When you grow up in a very, strict environment, you don't have a lot of freedom around your self-expression. You become almost like a soldier, you really, and that was like, I was born in it. I spent my first 12 years of life around in that. And I feel that really kind of, it conditioned me a lot. But at the same time, it was my first act of rebellion, because while I was in it, I wanted to, I was feeling, you know, that something wasn't right. I wasn't completely like, okay, this is, no, I always felt like I can't be here, you know, I can't believe in this stuff. There has to be more, you know. But at the same time, I was like, no, you need to be like this, or you will, or you won't be, you won't go to heaven, you won't do this. So
Yeah.
there was this battle inside of me, because I felt like that part of me wanted to be free and be herself and follow the instinct that I, also a kid has, you know, the body, the wanting to explore the world, to be free. But at the same time, I felt this part that was already, you know, pretty conditioned. No, you can't. God will be angry. People around you will reject you. Because being in a cult, I feel like my sense of like tribe and community has been really like poisoned by this thing, because I feel like my guilt and my shame is really rooted in guilt, because I feel like I have this I was really affected by this wound of being accepted by others. You know, you need to be in a certain way to be inside the group,
Yeah.
to be accepted and loved by your family, tribe, community, people around me. I feel I really have this fear of being rejected, you know, and it keeps coming back throughout my healing journey, you know, fear of being rejected, of not receiving love if I show my true self.
Yeah.
I have this big fear of being seen. I feel like it all comes from there, no? The fear of being seen for who I am, really I am, because I keep hiding it, but at the same time, a big desire of being seen. So, you know, a big
Yeah.
fear, but also a big desire, because there's this fire inside of me. And so I feel like I grew up feeling there was something wrong with me,
Mm-hmm.
because there was this part that wanted to be free, that wanted to, you know, express, but this other part, already pretty, you know, in the matrix, if we want to say that, that was like, no, you can't, because your family won't like it, God won't like it, people around you will like it, it's wrong, it's not acceptable, this and that. And on top of that, of course, there was all the conditioning of society, school, you know, layers of conditioning. And I also had a very bad experience at school, because I've been bullied when I was 12 years old. I've been bullied, and I also had a sexual assault when I was 12. So, you know, there's like, I feel like those first 12 years of my life has been, you know, all the shame, all the guilt around my body, who I am. And I've always been a kid, as exactly like you, that wanted to sing. I spent all my afternoon in my room, you know, singing a lot, dancing, imagining like I was on a stage. You know, I've always been this kind of like showgirl. There's a showgirl inside of me for sure. There is, because yeah, I've always been very, yeah, I always wanted to express myself, to move my body, use my voice. I used to spend all my time like that. And when I was a kid, I used to do that very freely, but I can see that year by year, I felt always, I felt like more little, you know, becoming
Yes.
little, smaller and smaller. Like this light was, this fire inside of me was becoming smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
And this is probably because of what you said, you know, the inner critic was becoming stronger and stronger, because at some point of my life, I remember I just cut off all of these things from my life, you know, singing especially. I remember that this critic what became so strong that at a certain point I just, okay, this is over. I can't keep singing because I don't feel enough. I feel shit. I feel my voice is shit. I feel this is, and I
Yeah.
felt this pressure, you know, to become an adult. I was like around 16, 17 years old, you know, that fatal age when you have to become an adult, you know, you need to think about your future and all those stuff. So, you know, I felt all this pressure, and this critic inside of me was becoming stronger and stronger and stronger, probably, you know, influenced all by, you know, the experience that I had, you know, in my family, my childhood, at school. There was this big voice, and I was like, yeah, I was feeling really, I wasn't feeling good anymore while singing. It was becoming like suffering, you know? So yeah, we have a very similar experience with the
Yeah.
inner critic.
Yeah, and it becomes true, as you said. I felt the burden over the years was growing and becoming stronger and stronger, and also like really, I felt it physically, that I was shrinking, that I physically was, pulling down things that I couldn't say because I couldn't voice my opinions, I couldn't sing, I couldn't express myself, I couldn't say no, I couldn't set boundaries, all these things that started as survival mechanisms when we're kids, because when we are kids, we need to be accepted by our tribe, our community, because we need to survive. When you're a newborn, you need the love of your family and of your community, because if you get rejected, then you actually, in ancient
You'll
times, you
die.
would literally die. So like also it was very good for me to learn this, because I thought always that I was wrong. Instead, when you learn that, you know we just implement survival mechanisms that come from history, of humankind and everything, and it's just normal. We want to be accepted, we want to be loved in order to survive. Then I didn't feel wrong anymore, and I started seeing how everyone is feeling the shame, is hearing the voice of the inner critic. So that's also why we're doing this, to share this, because it's such a common and universal feeling that we have, because when we're born, we just want to be accepted. And of course, through childhood and teenage years, then of course we start, like really internalizing this inner critic voice, this shame and this guilt. And sometimes it's also interesting how you can feel the consequences physically of this shame and this lack of authenticity. For example, a couple of years ago, they found a tumor in my throat, in my thyroid, and that was the turning point for me, when I said, wow, it can be completely unrelated, but I decided that I wanted to see the meaning of it. And, like there was a deeper meaning for me. And, I've lived 28 years of my life without speaking my truth, without voicing my opinions, without saying no. And suddenly they found a tumor in my throat, that it's, the space in our body, the part of our body that we use to communicate. And I was like, okay, I cannot shut up anymore. I cannot dim my light anymore. I cannot pretend I'm someone else anymore just to make everyone else happy. And there was really the turning point for me, and really the start of the biggest healing journey that I could ever imagine. And yeah, it was tough. It was because you need to relearn, how to accept yourself, how to love yourself, how, like I used to hate my voice, and then I started singing again, and to really reconnect with that voice. And it's like, okay, it's me, somehow, and it's coming out, and it's tough at the beginning to accept it, but it is beautiful now to reconnect with that parts of us that were already there when we were born. As you were saying, you look back, and that was just you when you were 2, 3, 4, 5 years old. You could go back and see that it was just you, the authentic you, your essence is there. And once I went back home in Italy, and I rewatched some videos and recordings of when I was a kid, and I could really see that that little kid was just me, and she was so authentic. And I was singing, speaking, dancing, and always, being in the center of attention, because that's me, expressing. And I think we really have this in common. And I don't know, do you have some videos or pictures where you really see your true essence?
Yeah, oh my God, this relates to me so much. Yeah, I feel like for me, the turning point has been reconnecting with my inner child on a very like material level, like seeing pictures, remembering who I was. Because I feel like for like a lot of years, like 10, 12 years, I completely forgot about the things I used to liked to do when I was a kid. You know, as I said before, that time that you have to, now you're an adult, forget about all those stuff, just go with your life. And I felt this pressure, you know, career and university, study, work. At some point, you know, I I realized I lost touch with my inner child, you know, and it was affecting me. It didn't happen like you on a body level, not that much, but more like on a like psychological level. I was depressed, like my teenage and my early 20s, big depression, and a lot of like mood swings and feeling wrong, and just really like not feeling well, you know, with the world, with myself. So at some point I got almost tired with myself, you know. I felt like something, you know, I had to do something. So I started my own healing journey also, you know, because I feel like, you know, growing up I just became more and more disconnected with my own inner child. And I feel like this really makes us sick, you know, on a mental, physical state. It's really like a disconnection with a part of us, like our vital energy. So if we don't have that vital energy, we kind of like, we are like slowly dying basically.
Yeah.
And I had this really, yeah, strong inner critic, but also like self-sabotage, procrastination, changing myself to be loved, to be accepted by friends, partners, anyone. So there were times that I wasn't even recognizing myself anymore, you know. It was really weird. Then I felt this big disconnection with myself, and it was really showing up on a psychological level. And yeah, poster syndrome, perfectionism, of course, you know, all the things I used to do. So the overthinking, you know, all those things, you know, I was really disconnected from myself and from my voice, because I completely stopped singing except when I was like in the shower. But I was really self-conscious of my voice, so I didn't want anybody to hear my voice. I didn't want anybody to hear my voice. I had this really, I had this feeling that my voice sucked. The
Yeah.
sound of my voice sucked. So I was always like aware to sing where nobody was around, you know, windows closed, and like, you know, so under the shower, so there's noise, you know. It was crazy. I couldn't really express myself freely as I was a kid. So, and also with the body, you know, I feel like I carried a lot of shame also around the body, because I used to love dancing, as you do as well. But growing up, I entered the world of clubs and partying, which I had a lot of fun. But I started connecting dancing with alcohol. You know, I couldn't dance anymore without drinking, without, you know, using substances, you know, without just, you know, getting some help. I couldn't let myself go anymore. While I was a kid, I was just, you know, it was so natural for me. So for years and years, I couldn't really dance in front of other people without a drink. And I feel like this is a thing that happens really often in our society. So we don't really need to carry like big trauma to carry shame. Shame is just a wound, you know, and we can have the wound of shame because just something we didn't, because probably we didn't receive the love that we needed as kids. And our parents, you know, they do their best, but probably they don't give us the love we need, because we are kids and each one of us needs a different type of love. You know, and it's not always easy, you know, for parents to understand that type of love. So when you're a kid, you don't receive that type of love that you crave, and you can't really explain it, you know, you're just a kid. So that creates wounds. But of course, you know, there's also trauma that plays a big part. You know, the big trauma that you have plays a big part as well. But I feel like, yeah, I couldn't dance. I couldn't dance in front of other people. So I linked dancing with clubbing. So it was really a strong connection for me. So I basically, I could feel that when I was entering like a club or a place where people were dancing, my first thought was like, okay, just grab a drink before you just die of shame, because you can't move, your body. I couldn't move my body. It was like I could feel this tension, this shame, like chains, I couldn't do it. So my turning point, yes, for sure, I feel like the pandemic made me stop on a lot of things, and clubs closed, so I couldn't really go drink, have a drink and dance, but I love dancing. So I couldn't renounce to that. I wanted to keep dancing, so I started, searching other ways to dance, and I discovered like about ecstatic dance and all that stuff, and a world opened up in front of my eyes. Basically, the world I used to live in was when I was a kid, you know dancing freely, dancing just to express yourself. And I was like, oh my god, this is me, has always been me. I forgot who I was.
Yeah.
And from that moment, I remember spending an afternoon watching my whole, those shows when that you do in school when you're a kid,
Of
the
course.
theater,
Yes.
shows.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like 11, I think, and I was like the protagonist of this musical theater show. And I rewatched this tape. It was on a tape and a VHS, and I watched it, and I didn't watch it for like years and years. So it was like watching it for the first time, and I was like, I was looking at myself just moving around the stage, singing, dancing. I was like, oh my god, this is me. I forgot. And I was like crying and so surprised, but also like feeling like I refound something inside of me, like a spark just turned on inside of me. It's been like a huge release, emotional release, because I couldn't believe what I was looking at. I remembered who I was, but it was incredible for me. It was like, oh my god, this is me, really? Is this me, really? Am I capable of this? Because right now I feel like I can't. I feel like my body is like all blocked. My voice can't come out of my mouth if there are people around. How the hell was I able to do that?
Yeah.
So something awakened inside of me, and I was like, no, I need to refine that. I need to, because this is me. I can feel that I'm totally in my element. I want to experience that joy, that freedom, because it looks beautiful. So I feel like that was like a huge turning point for me.
And somehow it's interesting how, at least for me, when thinking about authenticity or your essence of who you really are, in the past, I always thought that it was something that I needed to look for, to achieve. And it's like, okay, who do I want to be? We live in a society where to kids, we always ask, what do you want to become, when you're an adult? And then it's completely a wrong question, because it's not who do you want to be or who do you want to become or what do you want to achieve. It's just like you need to go back, to who you were when you were so authentic and connected to yourself. And this was in childhood, before all the trauma and all the shame and all the guilt. So for me, it was also a turning point to say, okay, I don't need to achieve anything. I don't need to change myself. I just need to, work on myself and heal in order to go back to my true self that I was already when I was, 3 years old. And it's really a nice journey, and it's a journey back, to who you are, more than a journey towards something that it's unachievable, outside of yourself. And it's, very powerful to reconnect with that child part that we all have, that it's hurt. But once you can connect with that part, there is so much freedom, and there is your true self, there, your voice, everything is in there. And also, you were saying about perfectionism, guilt, and the inner critic. And I have the feeling, and I know you do too, that we take life so seriously in general. And this is also a thing that we forget about when we were kids. When we were kids, we were so connected and so present. We just think about that moment, and whatever activity we're doing, we're just so deeply focused in it. And we just have fun. We do things for the pure pleasure of doing them, and it's also, I think the idea of this whole project Inner Sono is to really rediscover authenticity and creativity, but through fun. Because whatever spiritual journey you're on, awakening, healing journey, it can be fun. It doesn't need to be serious. We can take it, it's just part of life, just the pleasure of reconnecting with whatever you love to do, with that sparkle, as you were saying, and reconnecting with the sparkle is fun, because then once you find those activities that you loved when you were a kid and you still love, we always say that we feel the fire, starts burning. It's like intuitively, that it's something you're born to do. So it's also very interesting to just sometimes just have fun, and I tell it to myself, because I've been so serious for my whole life. I've been such a perfectionist, always having, to achieve things, to be a good student, to be a good girl, to be a good daughter, to be a good partner, all my life wanting to be good, and then good for what, good for whom, and now I realize I was completely disconnected, because I cannot achieve that, because it's a surreal goal, to have in life, to be just good and perfect. And learning how to go back to having fun, to doing things just for the pleasure of it. And in a way, it's what we're doing, like we just started a project around authenticity and creativity and self-expression, just for the fun of it, because we're on this journey and we thought about sharing it and making it fun. And also all our workshops will be about playing games, and rediscovering this nice connection with the inner child. And you can see all the colors that we have. It's playful, and this is also, I think, a very big change in my life once I started having fun again.
Oh my God. This is big. This is big. Yeah, it's a journey of remembering.
Yeah.
It's completely a journey of remembering. The seeds were all there in our childhood. And the more I go on, the more I go back. It's crazy. The more I go back, the more I go on. It's just time is an illusion. Like, it's just it's crazy, because it's true. The more I go on my healing journey, the more I rediscover things I used to love when I was a kid. And I can see that the seeds were all there. They were just waiting to bloom. But entering society was like, no, 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 these things can bloom. So you have to hide them. They're not useful enough. So just, forget about this and just wear this mask and go and do the things that you have to do. So it's beautiful, because you refine that joy, that living in the present that you were talking about, that I feel like, before doing this video, we chatted a little bit, me and Sarah, because we have so many things that we like to talk about. And we were talking about this thing, we are called, we both feel, in this new reality we are all creating, where we heal ourselves to create a different way of living that is more rooted in the present. And who's rooted in the present? The inner child. So it's a way of living in a more spontaneous way, more, just living for the pleasure of enjoying what you're doing in that moment, not putting all that pressure that you were talking about, because I feel like the pressure kind of like creates like a distortion of what we are doing, and it's what happened to me. I let go of all these things that I used to love, because I felt like they weren't, perfect enough for the standard of society, because it's all this pressure of doing things for an outcome, doing things because they have to be a certain, standard or stereotype. While I feel like we really need to re-tap into that just joy of doing things, pleasure of having fun. And spirituality can be fun. That's our message. The healing journey is tough, because you go into wounds, you go into a lot of wounds, and there's a lot of crying. So it's cool to also make it fun, because you know, there's a lot of tough emotion we need to face. So if we make it more fun, if we make it a way to just refine that spark of spontaneity, of vitality, it's different. You know, we live it in a different way. I feel like sometimes we live spirituality in a very strict or serious way, but this would be for sure a topic maybe for another video,
Yes.
because I feel it in my story, you know. So
Yeah.
probably I'm also like maybe a little bit triggered on this topic, but no, I feel like we live the spiritual journey sometimes with too much, you know, why too serious, you know? Like, you know, sometimes
Yeah.
we need to like loosen up a little bit, because it's also fun. It doesn't mean that we need to bypass the tough stuff, because that's not cool as well, but that's, you know, our mission with this project, to refine that inner child that we all lost. We lost it at some point of our life. We lost it. And since we both started to refine that inner child, everything changed. Like, it's crazy. I feel like it's the first, for me, at least. I mean, I feel like my spiritual journey became like a lot of years ago, but from the point I really started to go to the root and reconnect with my inner child, everything changed. I feel like that's like the first step of a very like deep healing. It's like the first part of you that you need to like reintegrate, you know, into yourself. It's the most important, because you refind also that love for yourself, you know, because you learn how to reparent yourself. So I don't know about you, but for me, that point, you know, like almost like 3 years ago now, when I realized I needed to refine that inner child, that I had lost something important, really, really
Yes.
important, that kept calling me for all those years. Because, you know, I used to drink a lot. I had a lot of like, you know, like a messy life, and for a reason, because a part of me was like was screaming out loud for help, for attention, for love. And I just cut the you know, I cut the communication. I was like,
Yeah.
no more. We can't. I don't have time for you.
Yeah.
And I felt like as soon as I started to rebuild that connection,
Mhm.
everything changed for me. And it's been tough. A lot of tears.
Oh
I
no.
remember doing like a hypnotherapy session that was just crazy, crazy. But I really went to the roots of this like feeling wrong, you know, because I felt this, you know, like there's something wrong about me, you know, I can't be who I am, because who I am is wrong. And we really went to the root of it, and it's been like a big part of my healing journey. And from there also I started to reconnect with my voice. So for me, like I started to reconnect with my voice, like my voice started to come out freely, and also my body started to dance more freely while I was healing and working on these wounds around guilt and shame. So I wasn't really working on my voice, with like
Yeah.
technically, you know, it's just been like a very organic and natural process.
Yeah.
You know, as you release this energy, this, you know, stuff that you have inside of you blocking you, other things, you know, it's the body will respond. And
Yes.
it's beautiful, you know.
Yeah, and in a way it's all connected, as you said, you know, like you can start. I think that the beautiful thing is that each one of us will start from a different point. You know, I started because the throat tumor, you started because of other reasons, and you know, I might have worked more on my shame, or you on your inner child, and all these different topics, but they're so connected, because then the root is just to go back to that feeling of self love and self acceptance, you know, that then we realize we live in a society where we're so strict to ourselves. Like when I realized the way I was talking to myself, and it was brutal, it was violent, it was just like over and over again repeating to myself that I was not enough, that I was useless, you know, and then that I wasn't worthy of love. And when you stop for a second and you're like, oh, how am I talking to myself in this way? You know, and then start, as you said, reparenting yourself, because of course our parents, they did their mistakes, they didn't have the tools or the knowledge to actually be there for us and give us this space of acceptance and love. But knowing that we can be the parents of our inner child and, you know, heal those wounds and make ourselves feel loved and accepted, this is so powerful, you know. And it's like that gives me hope, at least, to say, okay, not everything is lost because of, you know, the mistakes that my parents made, you know, 30 years ago. And we have the power to re-embrace that feeling of loving ourselves and being able to speak up, to set boundaries, to show ourselves, to dance. And it's like dance, or each one, you know, with their own passions, it can be anything, but, you know, reconnecting with the inner child, being in the present moment, having fun and loving ourselves, you know, it's like, it's huge and it's powerful. Of course, it takes a lifetime, you know, to really reconnect and to heal shame and guilt, but we can do it. So that's why, you know, we want to share that there is hope, and regardless
Yes.
of how painful and tough it is, because it is tough. I also cried a lot. I, you know, have these darkness moments,
and we still do.
Of course, I do cry a lot, and I have these, you know, moments of darkness, and I am just
we don't want perfectionism in the healing journey, you know.
Exactly.
We don't want it to creep in also in the spiritual journey.
Exactly. So no perfectionism and no seriousness also. Like, it's no learning how to take ourselves in a less serious way is also, you know, getting rid of perfectionism and say, screw it, I will try to do it, you know, because I feel it, you know. So it's, yeah, it's a lot of things, but it's powerful and it's beautiful.
Yeah, I feel like when we heal, when we start to heal the inner child, because it's a day by day thing, you know, we kind of release an energy, a special energy, very powerful energy. It's like what keeps us alive almost, you know. It's just a very powerful energy, our creative energy, you know. It's all in the sacral chakra, you know, the chakra of our creative energy, vital energy, sexual energy as well, because we don't connect, you know, childhood with sexuality, but they're so connected. But this is another topic, you know. But this is all like a very powerful energy inside of us. And I feel like as soon as we start reconnecting with that, something changes, you know, inside of it. I feel like the more I am on this healing journey, the more I'm like luminous somehow. I feel like I'm getting more and more like resemblance, you know. I feel like I look like me as a child more and more, even more I'm aging, you know. But it's crazy because there's like that light comes out more easily. It's like that child is alive again. It's there again. It's wake ups from, you know, the sleep. Because I feel like, for example, like with my voice, when I started to sing again, because I was like, no, I want to sing again. In the past 2 years I've been on this journey, and we actually, me and Sarah, we met on a singing course.
Yes, we did.
And she remembers very well the first lesson. It was my first time singing in front of people after all, like 12 years probably. The teacher told me, okay, just sing. And I cried instead of singing. I cried instead of singing because there was so much energy stuck on top of my voice that I couldn't really voice it. I was just, you know, it's healing, you know, it's singing is healing as well. So, you know, it's cool that you embrace the things that you need to heal, but those are the things that in the end heal you. Because as soon as I started singing, I felt like the more I reconnected with my voice, the more I started to release emotions, release energy that was stuck inside of me. And my inner child, you know, was like coming alive more and more. And it still happens to me sometimes that when I sing, I unlock something, maybe an emotion, or like I broaden up even more, you know, the openness of my body, because singing is has a lot to do with the body. And there's like an emotion, an old emotion stuck there, and I cry. So it's beautiful because you start healing with the same tools, you know, that were, you know, hurting you in the past. And it's So beautiful. So yeah, Sarah, me and Sarah met at this singing course, and I feel like that was the start for you as well, right?
Yeah, it was. I went to therapy many times when I was a teenager, but yeah, it was also really just before the pandemic, just before they found out about the tumor. So for me, that was the turning point. 2-3 years ago it started, and it was like, okay, now we're gonna heal this part, and it's I felt we were always really connected on this. And we don't live in the same country, in the same place, but somehow we always feel connected about the topics that we feel, like we're healing, and thoughts that we have, ideas. So that's why we also decided to start this space of inner sono, because we find each other on so many topics regarding the voice, the body, the authenticity, and yeah, we learned
Yeah,
a
in the
lot.
past 2-3 years, we've been on a healing journey on our body, with our voice, and we started healing through these things that we were, refining, and now we
Yeah,
want to share all of this with the world, really, with
exactly.
all the world, because
And
we are healing through the things that we used to love when we
yeah,
were kids. That's what's happening more and more, and probably 2-3 years ago we would have been able to do this video, because
no.
we were like, no, I was like, no, so self-conscious of my Italian accent and bad English, wrong grammar, and
Yeah,
now I'm just putting myself out there, and I'm like, yeah, whatever.
we said no perfectionism, taking ourselves less seriously, and really, like also starting this project in English, being,
Yeah,
Italian
because
mother tongue
we
speakers.
are both Italian. If you didn't guess.
If you didn't guess, I think you did, but but yeah, it was a bit of jump, like to say screw perfectionism, we will try it out. And yeah, as you can see, there are so many topics that we're gonna embark and talk about. But yeah, this was just to share a bit our life experiences, and to share why also we're doing this, because
Yes.
we want to share what we learned, and open up a space, also to
A safe
keep
space.
healing. Exactly, keep healing. And also in the interaction between the two of us, I always learn a lot. So it's just beautiful. So
Yeah, yeah. So thank you so much for watching this
thank
little
you.
chat that we had to start this channel also, because
Yes,
we were like, okay, how we're going to start this? Let's just do a chat. That's what
yes,
we do best, without
exactly.
thinking all the, oh my God, what we do. Just go
Yeah,
on live and do a chat
yes,
and talk about us. And yeah, we will keep doing this kind of stuff, talking about our experiences, talking about so many different topics, as a lot of topics came up today as well. We will also do events, so
yes,
online and in person. As we said, we're doing a 2-day event in Berlin, which is where Sarah lives.
yes, in
So
August.
oh my God, let's see the background, guys, the background behind Sarah.
Ooh.
It's
Whoa.
perfect for our project, because
Yes,
it's like, express yourself. Just let the yourself vibrate into the
exactly. No,
world.
like all these beautiful waves coming out, this powerful voice. So yeah,
Yes. So we will do an event at the beginning of August, 6 and 7 in Berlin, all dedicated to shame, playing with shame. It's called Let's
right.
Play with Shame.
Yes,
You're all invited. You're all invited. We will use the body, the voice, the music in a group setting. So that's, our favorite way to do stuff. Also, when we do it for ourselves, we love to do things in a group setting, because it's so healing, when you do things in a group setting, the energy dynamics are so powerful. So we will guide you through an amazing journey, colorful journey, fun journey.
fun.
Yeah, we will use theater also a little bit, dance, voice, a lot of different tools to refine that connection with that inner child, let it free, let it, let it express, let it come out without perfectionism, without rules, really.
Beautiful. Yes, we will have a lot of fun. And that's, I think, the main idea around, this project is just living a life which is way more chilled and way more, fun and way more connected and present than what we grow up believing life is. Life doesn't need to be so serious, and also healing, as we said. So we're really excited to have you on this journey with us. We will post all the links for the information, for the workshops, events, Instagram, whatever. Just yes.
We are just getting started.
Yes, and it's very exciting. So you will see a lot of imperfect content, but with a lot of.
Oh my God, yes. I feel like this chat has been super imperfect, but spontaneous. So spontaneous. Imperfection is beautiful. Imperfection is beautiful.
And it was just us, authentically us sharing our journeys. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, all of you. And we will see you very soon because we will keep posting content. We have so many ideas, so stay tuned. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button, as everyone says.
Yes, to get all the notifications of new content, subscribe and hit the bell. Ciao, everyone.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.
To all the people all around the world. Ooh la 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 la.